What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Madden 07 Albuquerque Vipers franchise. Unfortunately, the Vipers were not successful in the Super Bowl, falling to the New England Patriots 31-27, and their defense was really what won them that game. Go back and watch it if you didn't. Obviously, you know how it ends now, but it was a pretty good game overall, as you can tell by the box score there. And we're looking to rebuild even more this offseason. Not really a rebuild, but a reload. We definitely have some weaknesses on this team. Our ground game isn't great, and our defense has gotten progressively worse. So we're looking to change those up in the offseason and see what else there is for us here. So without further ado, let's jump into the Season 10 offseason. The AFC was successful here in the Pro Bowl, 24-16, 80-yard run by Lawrence Maroney to start off the game, though. Big Ben with a couple of second-half touchdown passes, 21 points in the third for Team AFC. Orlando Cross didn't do much, and John Owens only 2 of 9 for 80 yards. Rivers and Roethlisberger, 2 of the AFC QBs. Lawrence Maroney, over 100 yards rushing, which is crazy because he only played in the first half there. Charles Phillips, 2 for 58. Let's see what we got on the defensive side of the football. Asante Samuel with 5 tackles. Former Viper Wade Schmidt with 4. And Charles Phillips and Tariq Glenn both ended up getting tackles. I guess the NFC turned over the ball a lot. Look at us racking up the money throughout 2014. $81 million in net income. Now looking at the retirement, Sullivan is retiring from the NFL. I guess he wasn't coaching any team this season. Anyone else? You have another guy, Lindsley, retiring from the NFL. Coyer is retiring from the Bills. Brasher retiring from the NFL. The Vikings are going to be losing a coach, and that is it for retirees. As you can see, we have 3 vacancies at coaching positions. Tom Coughlin was actually our offensive coordinator going back to 2011. He has an opportunity to go coach the Green Bay Packers. We're going to let him go. Our defensive coordinator, Fred Bush, we were actually going to fire him if his contract didn't expire. We're definitely not going to renew his contract, though. But we're going to try to retain our special teams coordinator. And there we go. We got him back. Kurt Warner was the head coach of the Vikings for 3 seasons. He took last year off because he got 15 total wins throughout those 3 years, going 3-13 in his last season. Not a great head coach, but we're going to offer him a position as an offensive coordinator, and he has accepted. Simeon Rice actually ended his career as an Albuquerque Viper. I think it was 2011, I want to say. He's been retired for a few years now, and we're going to be rolling the dice a little bit and bringing him in to be our defensive coordinator. Looking at retired players throughout the league, Drew Brees is going to be hanging him up at 36 years old. He had one of his best years in 2013, and then he followed up with a 14 touchdown, 16 interception season, and he's going to be hanging it up. Bradley Van Pelt, a solid backup that bounced around the league, mostly in the AFC West. Dominique Davis, 34 years, retiring. Willie Parker, Julius Jones, some big names here. Clinton Portis, Tatum Bell, who actually spent a year and a half with the Vipers. Brandon Jacobs, Chris Perry's retiring. Najee Davenport, another former Viper, retiring. I'm actually surprised he stayed in the league that long. I thought he might have retired around the time we won the Super Bowl in 2010, but 4 more years in the league after that. Not a bad final year either. Javon Walker also retiring. Atlanta losing a lot of their star players now. Steve Smith retiring as a Jet, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns in his final season. I think he's still got something more in the tank, but he's going to be hanging him up. Deion Branch was always such a pain in the butt to defend, especially when he was in Arizona for those 3 seasons. Ashley Lalee, Santana Moss, Antoine Randall L., David Givens, Corin Robinson, Arnez Battle, Brian Johnson, Justin Gage, Carlos Rogers, and Bobby Wade all retiring. Dallas Clark is going to retire as a Redskin. Daniel Graham is going to be retiring as a Bill. You have Randy McMichael, Jeremy Stevens, and Eric Johnson all retiring. Tariq Glenn is going to retire. I figured he would. I thought he was going to retire like 2 years ago, but he hasn't. And so, I just rode with him because he's a really good left tackle. I mean, look at all those pancakes he's had in recent seasons. And it was an honor to have him blocking for Orlando Cross. Now we got to find someone to replace him. Saints losing a great tackle, as are the Bills in Samuel Chad Clifton retiring as an Indianapolis Colts. You have a couple other really good tackles retiring there. Steelers are going to be losing a Pro Bowl guard. You have Waters retiring, Stephen Neal, James Metcalf, DK's dad, Vincent, Cole Tucker. You have a couple of centers here retiring. Looking at the defensive side, Javon Curse is going to retire as a Chief, Howard as a Brown, Fisher as a Bengal. You have Sean Ellis retiring. DeTwain Corrals retiring as a New York Jet. He was a Viper long time ago. His best season, it's not even showing it on here, I guess that's how long ago it was. He had like 10 sacks, though, his first year as a Viper. Immediately got replaced and just kind of was a depth player because I always kind of believed in him. Spent the last few years with the Jets and is now going to be hanging him up. Looking at defensive tackles here, we got to speed things up a little bit. You got Booger McFarland retiring as a Denver Bronco, and Roger Wicks, 57 overall, but he always played better than that. He got 32 sacks in his career. Once again, not showing his 2006 season, which was really good. 8 sacks there in 2008, and kind of did get phased out these last few years by Bernard Bailey. David Thornton retiring as a Titan, Boss Bailey as a Panther, Robert Thomas is going to be retiring, Banta Kane, Sean Phillips, Alexander, Brian Urlacher retiring as a Cleveland Brown after leaving the Bears. He went to the Colts and played for 2 full seasons there before going to the Lions and now the Browns. Terrence Newman, a former Viper, and Ike Taylor, a couple former Vipers, hanging up here in the secondary. Obviously, Ike Taylor was incredible in his time in Albuquerque. I mean, we signed him in 2007. He had 4 interceptions, 5, 7, 10, 0, 5, and he snagged himself 2 as a Buccaneer. And then Terrence Newman, for those 2 years that they played together in Albuquerque, they were deadly. Nate Clements is going to retire as a Niner. They're also going to be losing another DB. Another one goes down for San Francisco just when they were finally kind of getting good too. And Mike Adams, another former Viper. He played for the Texans. And actually, no, it was the other safety, Darnell Bing, who played for the Texans. Mike Adams went on to San Diego and then a couple years with Philadelphia, kind of just as a depth player. He will not be forgotten here in Albuquerque. Tank Williams and Andrell Wilson will be retiring. John Hall, Mr. Reliable kicker here. He only seldom missed kicks. As you can see, he was perfect several years here with us. We're going to, have to definitely replace him. Orlando Mari retiring, Ryan Longwell, and Martin Gramatica, who actually spent 2 years in Albuquerque. 2 pretty solid years, but he hated losing so much, and so he actually held out and ended up leaving. We got ourselves a lot of restricted free agents right now, and we're probably only going to be offering a couple of them contracts, starting with Randall Slater. Okay, this is an interesting development now. Arizona just offered him a 3-year contract, and we get the 3rd overall pick for him. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. It's basically trading our number 1 corner, which, I mean, I do like Randall Slater. He was a pretty good steal in the 2nd round there. He's gotten 8 interceptions in 3 years for us. He's been pretty solid. He had a tough rookie year, of course. But after that, he played a lot better. But the 3rd overall pick, man, that could be really good. Honestly, I'm going to let them give us the 3rd overall pick. Kirk Figgins is a solid 3rd down back at the very least. I like him. Let's keep him around for at least 1 more season. We're going to make an attempt at Ralph Nelson here. We're kind of lowballing him. Let's see what he thinks. So we are going to be giving up a late 3rd round pick for him, but it looks like he's coming to Albuquerque. To start off re-signing players, Joseph Santiago, fantastic left guard. We're going to give him this 3-year, almost $16 million deal. I really like Trey Francis as a tight end. He's a little bit more athletic than Vaughan Lewis, and he's been getting this 2-year, $2 million deal. Maurice Williams has been a fantastic right tackle for us. He is 36 years old, but, Tariq Glenn played to 39. Maybe Williams will too, so we're going to give him a 3-year, $27 million deal. Charles Phillips led the league in yards and touchdowns last season, so that he deserves every penny of this 3-year, $25 million deal. I've compared Jamarcus Ward to MVS a lot, and honestly, he is a lot like him. He's a speedster with inconsistent hands, but he still comes up with some huge plays, and that's why we're going to be re-signing him. The rest of these guys here, we're going to be letting them go, at least for now. Daniel Manning is one guy we might pick up if we don't find a better free safety throughout the offseason. T. Lloyd, obviously just a depth player there. Same with Harry Fisher. Asante Samuel technically did go to the Pro Bowl this season, but he gave up some huge plays, man, and we can't be having that. He gave up that game winner against San Diego in Week 17, and yeah, you just can't be playing like that. We're going to be letting him go. Brandon Jones, solid receiver for 3 years for us, only made a handful of catches, but, 4 touchdowns. He got 3 touchdowns on 8 catches in 2012. He's a solid receiver, but there's not really room for him in this wide receiver room. We went after 4 players in free agency. We actually did end up getting all of them, starting with Brian Koch. He's a good kicker. He's been bouncing around the league. Arizona, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and now Albuquerque on a 3-year deal. Joey Hand, a great left tackle, formerly of the Houston Texans. He's been really good for them, and I think he's on a 3-year deal now. Did we only give Koch a 1-year deal? I thought we gave him a longer deal than that. No, we gave him a 4-year deal, yeah. And then you have Antonio Spikes, a cornerback. We gave him a pretty short deal. I want to say it was only a year or two, just a 1-year deal. And then a pretty speedy back here, used to play for Cleveland, Malecki. He has a 2-year deal, 99 speed on him. I really want to, diversify the backfield we've got here, and we're really going to have to narrow down who we got. But the NFL got shaken up throughout free agency. Aaron Rodgers headed to the Indianapolis Colts, where Big Ben used to play. Well, now he's headed to Seattle, which is going to cause a ton of controversy because they have the reigning MVP, Vince Young, still on their roster. I'm curious to see what happens there. I might have to go in and switch things up a little bit like I did last year, even though that didn't work out, because Matt Leinart, he signed with the Redskins last year. I traded him to the Raiders. I had to go back to the video to see that and whatnot. The Raiders released him, and now he's on the Saints. Curtis Williams, formerly of the Saints, is now in Miami. John Owens is going to be going from Chicago to the Falcons, replacing Drew Brees. Byron Leftwich, he's headed to Dallas, which is interesting. Michael Vick is now a Detroit Lion. Kyle Cates, still a free agent. I don't know who the Bucs quarterback is going to be. Tavares Sparks going to Kansas City, looking to turn things around there. Jerome Jefferson ends up staying with the Steelers, and Phil Van Dyke goes from the Browns to the Ravens. Ed Ailman, formerly of the Ravens and obviously the Vipers back in the day, still without a home, as only a couple of running backs get signed. Ronnie Brown, the Buccaneers cut him. He's now with the Falcons. Chris Cooley, he's headed to Houston. Walt Morrison headed back to Seattle, where he used to play. Obviously, he also used to play for the Vipers. A couple other fullbacks got signed. Luke Holt going from Denver to New England, 93 overall wide receiver. He's like 30 or 31 years old, but he broke out last year, 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns. Lee Evans, he's going from Green Bay back to Buffalo. He was a great number 1 option there, and the Packers really falling apart. Hopefully this doesn't happen in real life. Andre Johnson is going from Chicago now to Pittsburgh, working with Alan Thomas there. John Wade going from the Cowboys to the Giants. They should not have released him because he was probably their best receiver. He doesn't even have a 1,000-yard season, but he's still a really good player. Glenn Hughes moving on from Seattle. He's in Jacksonville. That is a relief. He's not going to be a pain in our butt anymore. Mark Bradley is going to Baltimore. Connor Hawkins is going to be a Jet. Johnny Johnson, I think he was a Bronco before and a Texan. He's going to be a Dolphin now. Benjamin Watson, he's also headed to Indianapolis, so look out for the Colts this next season. Don't forget, they also have Reggie Bush on their team. Jason Witten is going to be replacing Vernon Davis there, as he's going to San Francisco. Davis going to Washington, as he did in real life. Alex Smith going from the Steelers to the Broncos. The Buccaneers getting a new tight end as well, replacing Lorenzo Campbell. I think he was in Tampa Bay. Yes, he was. And Ron Elliott on the open market. We might pick him up later on. Joey Hand, obviously, we signed him, and the only other left tackle is Marvel Smith. You have some left guards here getting signed, 5 of them there. Some centers getting picked up, a lot of them, actually. Looking at some other guards as we're just going to quickly go through the offensive line. Jordan Gross, former Viper, he's also going to be a Colts. Holy crap, how much cap space does that team have? Will Smith is going to be a New England Patriot. The Browns doubled down on defensive end, including Marcus Crispin, former Albuquerque Viper who got 9 sacks with the Bucs last year. Antrell Wilson, another former Viper. As you can see, he was real good with us. He went on to Jacksonville, played okay, and now he's going to be a Chicago Bear, 97 overall. Quincy Ford is going to be heading to Minnesota. You have John Henderson going to Detroit. You have Wiggins. He's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Was he there already? Yes, he was. Williams is going to be a Buffalo Bill. Tupupu is going to be a Cleveland Brown. Jonathan Vilma staying in New England. Dolphins getting a new linebacker, I should say, with Fletcher, whatever you want to call him, formerly of Jacksonville. Mo Frazier, I considered going after him, but didn't end up doing that. He's going from Dallas to Kansas City. Looking at the defensive backs, Darren Williams is going to be a Colts. Holy mackerel, this team is going to be absolutely stacked. Nick Collins is going to be a New York Giant. Roman Harper going from Green Bay to Tampa Bay, one Bay to another. And then looking at strong safety, Rick Claiborne replacing Bobby Glover in Houston. 2 fantastic safeties there. Marquez Sexton is going to be a Detroit Lion. Steven Gostkowski, he's headed to Atlanta again. I think he did play there at one point in time. Maybe not. Maybe just... Oh, yeah, he did. He was there 2 years ago. David Akers is going to be a Bronco. Graham is going to be a Steeler. Robbie Gould, a Titan. Ronnie Hamilton, a Jaguar. A lot of really good kickers on the open market for this season. And then punters. A lot of really good punters as well, but we were not in need of one. Forgot to show my draft board earlier, so I'm going to do it right now in the beginning of the draft. We got Michael Brown and Jake Gordon, both top 5 running backs there. You got Sheridan Blake. You got a cornerback, Wiley. You got another running back, Brian Charles. Terrence Pollard at free safety. Justin Williams, a cornerback. Dorsey, an outside linebacker. And that is my draft board here. And we've got to make a pick at 3rd overall. As we take a look at Michael Brown's scouting report, there's an even amount of good and bad that says he's an elite weapon, but there are concerns with him holding on to the football, some ball security there, and it also says he's an injury waiting to happen. Meanwhile, Jake Gordon's only knock on him is that, again, they say he's an injury waiting to happen, but they say he does a very reliable job holding on to the football and has the stamina to carry the ball 25 to 30 times per game. And that's what's really selling me on him right now. So Jake Gordon out of Notre Dame, 23-year-old running back. Welcome to the Albuquerque Vipers. All right, we have a late first-round pick now. Obviously, with Randall Slater going to Arizona, our secondary has been hit bad. In fact, we only have 2 corners right now, and only one of them was even on the team last year. So we're going to be picking up Justin Williams out of Michigan. All right, early in the 2nd round, we are going to be moving up and sending Ray Dawkins to Oakland. They are in desperate need of a quarterback. Dawkins has definitely shown flashes throughout his 2 years in Albuquerque. I was planning on trading him anyway, and now seems like the perfect time to do so. And so we're going to be moving up. Cedric Dorsey is an outside linebacker that I really liked scouting. I think he can be a really good player for us, and that's why I'm going to be taking him out of Troy. All right, late in the 4th, we need some depth at really all of our offensive line positions. We're going to be starting off big into the guard, Richie Smith. Next up, we're going to get the tackle, also out of Notre Dame, Robert Martin. Early 6th round pick here, and we're going to take Cato Wolford, a center. We still got 1 pick left to make, but we're going to be recapping the draft pretty quickly here. Starting off with the Bears that took a tight end in the 1st round, left guard in the 2nd round, and didn't pick again until the 6th round where they got a punter. The Bengals get Benji Owens, 1st overall. They also get a linebacker and then another one there. Buffalo goes with a strong safety, then a center, and a quarterback in McGuire, although it looks like Rex Grossman will probably still be starting for them. Denver gets themselves a right guard, a couple linebackers, a running back. Cleveland back-to-back wide receivers, and then another one there, a backup quarterback as well. Tampa Bay goes wide receiver, a couple of linemen, and then a receiver. Couple outside linebackers here for Arizona, a kicker. The Chargers go with a right tackle in the first round, then a receiver, cornerback, couple defensive tackles. Chiefs take a running back, 4th overall, then a wide receiver that was projected to go in the first, fell to them in the second round. Colts didn't get a first-round pick. They traded with Miami. They get a free safety, a kicker, and a couple of centers there. The Cowboys get a left guard, 25th overall, also a defensive end. The Dolphins at 7th overall got Pollard. He was actually a free safety that I did scout but didn't end up getting, obviously. And then the center that they traded up for there. And then a couple of left guards. Eagles go with a wide receiver in the first round, a tight end, and a linebacker in the third. The Falcons go right guard with their first 2 picks, then go strong safety. Niners go defensive ends with their first 2 picks, kicker, running back, outside linebacker. Giants pick a tight end in the first round. Jacksonville picks a quarterback, 9th overall. He was projected to go late first, early second. This team has like 6 quarterbacks on the roster, and none of them are good. Jets go with a cornerback in the first round. I was actually considering trading up for him until they took him. 3 wide receivers to end out their draft. A right tackle goes to Detroit. They get a quarterback in the second round, but they do have Michael Vick. You have the Packers with a couple of guards, a running back, but no one's there to play quarterback for them. Panthers get a wide receiver and a middle linebacker, then go special teams and quarterback. Patriots, they lost Rick Claiborne, so they spent a first-round pick on a strong safety. Then you have the Raiders going left tackle with the 8th overall pick. They also had another first-round pick. They got a middle linebacker. Left end going to the Ravens, 5th overall. Redskins get a defensive tackle out of Montana with their first-round pick. They got a big draft class here. Saints go left tackle, and then they go tight end. Seahawks go cornerback, and right end going pretty heavy on the defense until late in the draft. And then Steelers defensive tackle, 3 corners, a quarterback, defensive tackle, linebacker. Houston gets a running back, 19th overall, and then also 51st overall. Tennessee gets a tight end early. A lot of these tight ends going early in the draft. Minnesota gets a quarterback, 2nd overall. And let's go on to our final draft pick. And with it, we're going to pick, let's go Andre London. He's actually pretty speedy for a fullback. I was told to maybe grab another speedy fullback. I'm not sure if he's even going to make the roster, but, you know, we don't really have a need to fill right now. Let's take him. Recapping our draft class, Jake Gordon, 86 overall. He's got 90 speed. His awareness isn't great. None of these guys really do have great awareness, but I'm pretty happy with our first-round picks here. Justin Williams is an 83 overall, 94 speed for him. He looks like he'll be a good number 2 cornerback for us. Cedric Dorsey is an 82 overall. Dorsey is an 82 overall with 87 speed. Really good for an outside linebacker. Richie Smith is just going to be a depth guard. He's a 76. Robert Martin, also a depth offensive lineman at a 74. And then Cato Wolford, a 71. And then finally, Andre London, 74 overall fullback. All right, so we got way too many running backs on our roster right now. We're going to have to cut some of these guys. And let's see. We're going to start with Will Tillman. He hasn't done a whole lot for us. I don't even know how long he's been here. Just 1 season. We gave him a 3-year contract, and he's been okay. He ran for a touchdown last season, but really just he's expendable at this point, and we're going to be letting him go. Blake Flowers has been incredibly underwhelming for what he was, an 82 overall in the 3rd round 2 years ago. He has declined a little bit, only 264 yards and a touchdown, and 3.1 yards per carry is not great on 83 carries, and he is going to be hitting free agency. During the second wave of free agency, we're bringing back Danielle Manning to be our free safety. We got Richard Hutchinson to be our 3rd defensive tackle on the team, and Dunk DeKoch to be the 3rd string quarterback. Kyle Cates, he had an offer to go back to Tampa Bay. Instead, he opts to be the backup in New England. Malone is going to Denver. Thomas Carson is going to be a Lion. Rick Haley is going to be going to Tampa Bay, fighting to get a starting position there. Darrell Wyatt, he is an awful quarterback, as we saw in Kansas City. He's headed to Washington, though. Grant Baker's going to go back to the Bills. Dwayne Kent going to Green Bay, and he could very well become their starting quarterback this season. Javaris Small is going to be a Bear. Wallace, Bailey, Lawyer Watson, Olsen's headed to the Bay Area. Justin Boyd, that is a name I have not heard in a long time. He is going to be headed to Philadelphia. Fernando Lott, he's going back to Tennessee, where he started his career after 2 years of not even having a job. Ed Ailman, he's going from the Ravens to the Browns. So our two old running backs staying in the division. You have Rob Pope. He's going to be in Pittsburgh as a backup. Blake Flowers, I'm happy that he found himself a job there in New York. The Bills get a running back. Adidas. Phil Elliott, he is going to be a Detroit Lion. Let's see if Will Tillman got himself a job anywhere. No, he did not. Hopefully he does get signed at some point. Couple of fullbacks get some jobs here. Warren Davis going, I believe, back to Chicago. Yep, where he already was. Pickens, Anthony, Graham Fulton, Roddy White without a job. Was he employed last year? No, he was not. Lorenzo Campbell is going to be a Bear. I think he did play there at one point in time before. Nope, I was wrong, but he does now. Ron Elliott's going to be a Buccaneer. You have a couple of left tackles, or more than a couple of left tackles. 3 guards there getting signed. A bunch of centers, right guards, right tackles. Jets getting the top 2 left on the market. Panthers getting 2 as well. John Lawrence is going to be a Green Bay Packer, so not all bad things for Green Bay this season, just mostly bad things. Green is going to be a 49er. Trenton Van Dyke, still a free agent, former first overall pick. Bears give themselves a defensive tackle. Obviously, we did as well. Outside linebacker is going to go to the Giants. The top middle linebacker is going to be a Detroit Lion. Chargers and Cardinals getting themselves some linebackers. Chris Gamble's going to be a New York Giant, as is former Viper Jared Knight. He spent the last 3 years in Carolina. Top free safety didn't even get signed, but we did end up getting one. And then Bob Waller, former Jaguar and Viper, is going to be a Seahawk. Rob Quinn, another former Viper. He spent last year in Minnesota. He is still unemployed. Some kickers got signed, and a couple of punters did too. And that's going to be a wrap on the Season 10 offseason. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leaving a like is always appreciated. Let me know in the comments section what you're excited about in this upcoming season. We got the preseason will be coming up next in this series. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, this has been Jeffrey reminding you to stay moist.